Welcome to this video in which I will be presenting to you this long-term project from this Pom-Pom Thuja that was in the front garden of my current house. As you can see, this is a highly domesticated shrub in this format that I collected in 2017, and at the time of collection I had to make some decisions about branches to remove in order to have access to the root system. So this is how the tree came out of the ground with the root system that you can see. My considerations for the branch selection were to remove those very taperless and straight branches that only ramified much farther away that you see on the on the right on this photo. The tree was immediately potted in this nursery container with 100% diatomaceous earth. Here in Canada, this is sold as Qualisorb, which is a product to absorb oil in garages. I don't use this normally at 100% for any purpose in bonsai, but Thuja doesn't seem to mind it at all. I also use it for collected maples with coconut bark, and it also worked fine. In any case, the tree spent nearly 2 years in this pot before it was repotted on a training bonsai container. I put a link in the description of this video to the video where I filmed the repotting of this tree, so check it out. The inspiration for styling this Thuja come from the book The Last Stand by Peter Kelly and Douglas Larson. This book documents the most ancient Thuja trees here in Canada that have survived for several centuries by means of being in highly inaccessible terrain. In this book, which I highly recommend, there are many living trees documented, but one in particular struck me as highly evocative for a design and for elements in the design of this Thuja. One of the trees in that book is called the Alien, and it's a Thuja that is now 841 years old. You can see that it has this massive deadwood with a linear striation, and it's a bit hard to see, but to the right and a little bit down you can see the foliage in sort of a round apex, and this is the type of inspiration that I'm taking for this tree, that was a pom-pom, which could be seen as possibly the most domesticated form for a tree, a perfect sphere, and turn it into the wildest and most ancient form. So this is the tree as it was repotted, but on the angle that I plan to style it. Notice the dead wood, the remnants of the large branches that were cut on, that are poking towards us from this image. And there are a lot of foliage, a lot of branches extremely far away from the trunk at this time. So this was extremely challenging to design. I will not show you the design process itself. I will directly jump into showing you the result and then showing you some details of the styling. Final result, I will get into the details of the styling a little later in this video. I just want to point the roundish nature of the distribution of the foliage somewhat similar to what inspired me in the alien and other trees from the Niagara Escarpment, and the striated nature of the deadwood with all these carved lines, which are still very young, but with time they will age and I will refine them. For now, they are just painted with gouache, white gouache, and a bit of sumi ink to look old but appear still whitish. In that way, they will continue to age with the elements. Now let me discuss a bit my manner in which I define pads or distribute the foliage for Thuja. And in general, I don't like extremely flat pads. And especially with Thuja, you can see you have very flat foliage with this elongated pieces of growth. And so what I do is that I promote different branchlets as branches and create a multi-tiered pad with multiple heights. And the idea simply on each branch, as it is on the entire tree, is to have natural gracious lines and photosynthetically accessible foliage. So it is a sustainable design in that way. As I place different branches in different positions, down or up or sideways, I try to keep natural lines, and I cut away all the foliage that is growing between the bifurcation point and the extremity where I leave the growth intact. In this way, I create this multi-tiered, complex pieces of foliage. We may call it pads, multi-tiered pads, but they are not. They don't have a single plane. They have multi-planes in different spacings, different depths, different distances, and like that, a single piece of what would normally be a single piece of foliage creates an entire structure, which is very pleasing to look at. Now, with respect to the maintenance of Thuja, this is not what I'm doing at the moment there. I do not pinch it. If you pinch Thuja, you'll have a type of growth that is not so representative of the growth aspect of Thuja, but it's an acceptable, more compact aesthetics if that's what you want. I prefer to not pinch and simply cut at the junctions, just like with juniper as well. And in doing so, the growth is more natural on the Thuja and will remain as it is there. I personally prefer this more rarefied distribution of foliage. So in here I didn't remove more than perhaps 40% of the foliage, but I create an airy result that I find it quite pleasing. This is the result of styling this Thuja. It has now short round apex. It has a defining line. It has a line of the silhouette that goes in, out, and around. It connects this part of the apex with the foliage that comes from the other side. And the reason to have this section of the tree here is that otherwise there will be no reason to have a live vein, and removing the live vein from the best front of the tree would diminish the value of the composition, and the dead wood has been partially worked to create the deterioration lines caused by weathering that is very true to form to the ancient Thuyas in the Niagara Escarpment, which are the oldest in Canada. So this tree has been undomesticated from a Pom-Pom Thuja to something that is more representative of the oldest Thuja in Canada. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you take something out of it. And until the next one, bye-bye for now.